two main things far and away: sleeping better, waking up. Like I never have trouble sleeping necessarily, but I did notice I felt better when I woke up. You know, increased energy, I guess, to an extent. Definitely a reduction in snoring. I did a sleep study thing, and I was a whatever they called it, chronic sleep apnea or severe sleep apnea, whatever they want me to get a goddamn CPAP machine, right?
Yeah.
And after talking to 3 or 4 friends that have tried those and thrown them out, I said no.
Right.
So I do sometimes dramatic improvements in my personal life.
Thanks so much for coming on the call today here, Tom. I
Sure.
really appreciate you taking that time out of your day. So thanks so much for this.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for reaching out.
Let's jump into it. How was it that you got into mouth taping, and then how is it that you heard about hostage tape and started using the product?
Well, like everything in the world these days, Patrick, I think the internet machine did its job. Somebody on your digital marketing team retargeted my ass from. I had How did this work? I'd read about mouth taping, from something, and I tried it with like a little athletic tape or something on my mouth, and I mean that stuff was off in a matter of seconds, right?
Yeah.
So then you guys got me with an ad somewhere. Honestly, I can't tell you if it was Facebook. I don't spend much time on Facebook, but it
Right.
might have been Facebook, might have been a newsletter, might have been something like that. But I saw it and I was like, huh, that makes a lot of sense because before the stuff was not staying on my face. Um, so I got it, and yeah, I'm a big fan. I mean, I got it, and I tell you, guys are pretty good with customer service too because I got it, and at first it was not necessarily staying on that great, right? And so I sent something to your help ad or whatever
Yep.
hostage state, and somebody got right back to me and had a couple of suggestions. Like, hey, it's heat activated. Make sure you sort of rub it in when you put it on. Um, make sure you're washing your face before you put it on, especially if you've got any kind of facial hair because of oils and whatnot. And sure enough, did those 2 things and stays on pretty darn good.
Awesome. And that's so great to hear. Yeah, a lot of people will try it, and the first couple times it won't work, and then it's just throwing it out. But a lot of times it might be, I know you look like you got a bit of a beard there. I've got a beard. If there's like an oil or something, it'll just peel up at the corners, or
Yep.
yeah, making sure to like rub it in just to really get that adhesive going. So that's super cool to hear that you got that support. That's so great. Always good feedback to get like that. That's for sure.
Sure. Hey, well, while I'm praising your guys, I also tried the nose strips, and the first couple of times I did that, I was probably taking it off too quick or something, but I was getting a
Right.
little irritation on my nose, right? Like
Yeah.
little dots, whatever. And so same thing. It's an email. I'm like, hey, is this just, hey, I love you guys. Just want to let you know that this is happening. So I'm going to stop using it. Is that common? And they're like, no. And they had a couple suggestions. They said, put it on the back of your hand while you're brushing your teeth or whatever to sort of, get rid of some of that residue or whatever. Or, just when you're taking it off, put a little water on it, go slower, whatever. And sure enough, I didn't do the hand thing, but now I'm just more careful when I'm taking it off. And I think I am putting a little water on it. But it works great.
Yeah. In the morning, I usually wash my face, and then as I'm washing my face, I just slowly peel it off. If you rip it off, I mean that'll definitely that could probably hurt. I mean, you might just even like pull out a couple hairs there as well. But I know
Yep.
there's been times when I'm in a rush, I'll rip it and I'll get like a little bit of bruising. But if I just go like nice and slow, then there's never any problems. That's super cool to hear. What did you find once you first started using the tape? Let's say a week or 2 weeks in, what were you noticing improved?
I mean, the 2 main things far and away: sleeping better, waking up. Like I never have trouble sleeping necessarily, but I did notice I felt better when I woke up. Increased energy, I guess, to an extent. Definitely a reduction in snoring. I did a sleep study thing, and I was a whatever they called it, chronic sleep apnea or severe sleep apnea, or whatever they want me to get a
Right.
goddamn CPAP machine, right?
Yeah.
And after talking to 3 or 4 friends that have tried those and thrown them out, I said no.
Right.
So I do sometimes dramatic improvement in snoring. First of all, for what my wife said, right? Dramatic improvement.
Right.
Biggest variable, Patrick, seems to be cocktails and beer in particular.
Right.
And
Yeah.
too much beer, and I'll wake up and the tape's still on, but she claims I was snoring. She claims. I have no proof of this, but that's what she claims.
Yeah.
But dramatic improvement.
Yeah. Well, that's so great to hear. Yeah, I find and then it's similar things, right? I find it's something about alcohol that really triggers it. I think, yeah, I'm gonna have to do more digging into that. But I find it's a similar thing if I'm, especially like you said, beer. Beer seems to the one. Maybe it's just a bit more bloated and whatnot, but it
I've done
definitely
extensive research on this subject, Patrick, and it's
right,
beer. Like by research, I mean just trial and error.
right,
Beer, tap beer in particular, and bourbon, anything in the whiskey family. Snororama. Uh,
right.
vodka, tequila, not so bad. So you just got to
Okay,
learn. You just got to learn to figure out what you're
there you
doing.
go. Trial and error. Sounds like
Yeah.
you're testing the waters for some people. What
Yes,
was
sir.
your wife's reaction when you told her, "Hey, I've got this mouth tape. It's from a company called Hostage Tape. I'm going to start taping my mouth shut at night." What was her reaction?
She said that looks ridiculous, but she was all in. She's very, very, psyched actually for it. So I travel with it. We travel all the time for work and fun, but I bring it with me all the time.
Right. Is she a fan of it now? Is she saying like, "Honey, you're never going to be not mouth taping. Like you're buying the
Big
yearly
fan. She
subscription
got she
and
got you one other customer. We were with clients out in Ojai, California, and she was talking to one of the attendees. It was a sales trip. She was talking to one of the attendees' wives, who was complaining that this guy snores, and when they're in a hotel, she can't go anywhere, right? Or he can't go anywhere, or whatever.
hmm
And Kelly told her about the hostage tape, and she was like, "Get some." So we got back to the office on Monday, and I got the 12-month supply, right? So and this guy's a really good customer. So I took one of my bags. I was just looking to see if I had one here. I don't. I took a month's supply, put it in the mail, and sent him a note and said, hey, the wives were talking, and she said you need this. Um, and he was very appreciative. Called me as soon as he got it,
yeah,
and as far as I know, he's still using it. I'll see him next week, and I'll get an update. But I think he is.
that's really cool. That's neat. That's neat that she's yeah, able to share that and able to spread that. Some people kind of get embarrassed about it or they're like, ah, maybe I shouldn't say anything. But honestly, it's a huge problem that so many people have. When you think of, I've started looking at movies now, and just whenever they show a scene of someone sleeping, that person is always snoring. Or different cartoons, they'll have like the dad in the chair snoring. And it's almost normalized and just kind of made fun of now, where it's like, hey, this is just what people do. They just snore. And it's like, no, that's not the norm. Like you don't want to be doing that. But it's so normalized. So that's super cool that you're able to like get it there and spread that word and send it to a
Yeah,
client. That's awesome to hear.
and it's not just the snoring. I mean, we're a whole bunch of mouth breathers too, right? And so that's
hmm
also helped me be much more cognizant during the day of my breathing, even when I'm not using the tape. Now, I've seen some of your videos where like there's a guy running with his tape on or doing this or doing that. And I was on my mountain bike this morning. I live here in Colorado. We do a lot of biking, and I've told my buddies all about it, right?
Yeah.
And said, hey, if you really want to get good, we should tape our miles while we're riding and whatever. There is no way in hell I'm going to get enough oxygen through my nose when I'm going upside of a mountain, right? I mean, I have been meaning to try it, just like, when going for a brisk walk or maybe a bike ride that's
Yeah.
not totally mountainous. But for vigorous physical activity, there's no way in hell I could do
Yeah. So I had a really cool call. This fascinating. He's an oxygen expert last night, and he was saying basically there should be no situation where you're not able to breathe through your nose. So he works with pro athletes in the NFL and NHL,
it.
and he
Mm-hmm.
says it's always just about slowly progressing. So his point was if you've always mouth breathed, there's no way you're going to be able to go and sprint all out or go play hockey, play in the NHL, whatever it is, 0 to 100. But he said it's that 1% increase over time. So it was very fascinating because I know for myself, I've started getting into it while running or working out. I'm a big soccer player, so it's more endurance, but trying to make sure I'm always going through my nose. So his advice was as you're training, just try to slowly get a bit better. So, I mean, if you're mountain biking, try to say, like, hey, can I go 30 seconds with my nose closed? And then do I need to slow down or stop? Or is it just going to be 30 seconds that day? Then the next day is like, hey, can I do 45 seconds? So he was
Mm-hmm.
like, think long term on it. Take a year, take 2 years, and say, over the next 2 years, can I do this activity And then 2 years down the road, can I do it all while nasal breathing? It was a very fascinating perspective to take because in my head, I was always, well, I can do this if I'm walking or maybe like a light jog. But if I'm sprinting, this is going to be too hard. But he said that's because you're just going 0 to 100, and it's got to be that slowly incremental progress. So very cool
Yeah.
perspective. Tom, I want to hear the story 2 years from now where you're just mountain biking and it's nose breathing and
Well, I will
it's
try.
tough
I
to
will
do
try
though.
my
Tough to
best.
do.
Yeah, it is hard.
Tough to
Yes.
do. He compared it. He said, "Watch Planet Earth, and when you see the cheetah chasing the antelope, neither of their mouths are open. They're always shut, and they're always going through nasal breathing." It was that analogy where I was like, "Okay, that makes sense," because you never see animals in the wild running or anything like that with their mouths open, other than a dog panting, but that's not for air to
I
cool them down.
I
So
also suspect, though, while I'm making excuses for myself, I think I might have a deviated septum issue
right,
here.
yeah,
And I've had a couple friends do that surgery, and it's not necessarily something I'm super excited about doing. But
yeah,
it is on my list to actually check out because that would significantly impact just your ability to, it would impact both snoring and your ability to just intake oxygen.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The deviated septum. It's just funny how common that seems to be as now. Yeah, just broken noses or whatever it is, getting bumped as a kid, and then it just throws it out of whack. So
Yeah.
this is super neat. So you spoke about your work, and you're in sales. Is that correct?
Pretty much.
What?
We do meeting planning. I think everybody's in sales, quite frankly, but we
Right.
do. My wife and I have a company that does meetings and events for pharmaceutical companies.
Very cool. And it sounds like you're traveling all the time. So have you noticed an increase in energy or just focus since being able to get deeper sleep, longer sleep, improve snoring? Have you noticed an energy or a difference in terms of your work?
Yeah, definitely energy. I've always been an early morning riser, right? I have noticed actually that I'm getting up earlier without the alarm, right? My alarm's usually set for 5. And lately, if I go to bed at 9:30, I'm getting up at 4:45, 4:30, right? So it's not like
Right.
crazy, but it's different, and it's not an alarm.
Hmm.
Um, as far as waking up when you're snoring, usually I would wake up and your mouth is caked dry, right? And it's just nasty.
Yeah.
But when I have the tape on, you wake up and, I feel great, no dry mouth, definitely more energized.
That's really cool to hear. And then how about for your wife? Has she noticed similar things? I know personally it was always the mornings where I'd be really groggy. My wife would be upset because I'd been snoring and she'd been waking me up or telling me to roll over. And that first hour was just kind of tense, I would say, or there'd be like some just a little bickering. Have you noticed that like your relationship is kind of better in the mornings or there's just less of that struggle?
Yeah, a little bit, because that's usually one of the first things we discuss is how did everybody sleep that night? And,
Hmm.
was I snoring? Was I not snoring? So, yeah, I would say it's certainly improved relations around the house. Um, yeah, and she's definitely sleeping better because she's not, I'm not waking her up several times during the night.
Right. Very cool. That's very cool. And yeah, we can finish it off there if that's fine with you. That was really neat to have you on. It's super cool to just hear that you love the product, that the support is really great, and also it's cool to hear that you're telling people about it. It's it's through interviews like this, like you coming on, and also you sharing it to your clients, things like that, where we're just gonna be able to help as many people as possible and make a change because snoring and mouth breathing, all these issues, they're affecting our sleep, affecting our health. So it's really cool that you're coming on here and that you're sharing the word out there. So I just want to say thanks so much for that.